Hello, and welcome to Life of a Boss, the podcast, hosted by entrepreneur, public speaker, and mentor, Jason Hardin. This podcast is all about helping audiences create and reach their own definition of success through positive thinking, perseverance, and personal development. Having survived extreme obstacles from an early age, such as cancer, poverty, abuse, family dysfunction, and even homelessness, Jason has learned how to master the art of resilience and defy all odds to become the boss he is today. So, get ready for some serious game and remember to keep an open mind. Now, without further delay, here is your host, Jason Hardin.
Well, thank you for that intro, and I am Jason Hardin, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of Life of a Boss, the podcast. It's the show where we help audiences create and live their own definition of success through perseverance, positive thinking, and above all else, personal development. Because all things start with self, y'all. Any change you want to see in the world starts with you. So that being said, I'm kind of excited today, and I want to jump into it because we have a great episode with a great brother on the show today. The brother is first of all, he's just very active in the community. He's a boss by all means, and that's why he's on the show today. He's a commissioner. He's an author. He is the recipient of the National Advocate Award, the LA County Millennial Leader Award, and the Pasadena Community Service Award, and that's pretty much where he does the bulk of his good work. And I appreciate the brother. Like I said, I crossed paths with him doing the good stuff I do for our community, so I know he's active and I know he's out there. And like I said, he's a recent published author, and I'm gonna let him tell you about it. I don't want to tell his story for him. And he's just a good brother, and that is Brandon Lamar. How you doing, Brandon?
What's going on, man? I'm doing fantastic, man. It's a good day to be alive.
Ain't every day a good day to be alive, man? Especially today.
It is, man. It is. Every day is a good day.
Man, thank you for being here, man. I know you're a busy guy. I know you got a lot of things going on, and I just appreciate you taking the time to help me help others help themselves. You feel me?
Absolutely, man. We all in this together.
Absolutely. And that being said, man, I know you're a recent published author. You know, you wrote 2 children's books within the last, I would say, year and a half. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think those are very incredible projects because I think it's amazing what you do with the youth. And I'm pretty sure you already know the whole point of this show is helping others create and live their own definition of success. And I see you do it. You know, I've seen you carve out your niche. I see you doing the boss stuff you do in your lane, in your alley, the way you want to. You know, and I appreciate that. But I also see what I respect even more, that you help a lot of other youngsters do it. It's in your work. It's in your community work. It's in your projects. You know what I'm saying? And it's definitely in your book. Can you tell us a little bit about the mentorship you do and how important that is to you and how much a part of your business or your brand that is?
Absolutely. So just a little bit. I wrote my first book in 2018. Mm-hmm. But the funny thing is, even though I wrote it in 2018, it didn't get released until 2020.
Okay.
So it took me 2 years to release it because I was looking for artists, illustrators, and all this other kind of stuff to put it together. Mm-hmm. And so, it was perfect timing. I released it right before the pandemic hit. And so it was really good in regards to that. And then
that's perfect timing for real.
Man, perfect timing. So then the pandemic hit, and when the pandemic hit, everything else was going on. We was going through social arrest and dealing with police brutality and marching for George Floyd and all this other kind of stuff too. And so I wrote my first book called King and Me that I released in the top of 2020.
Yes.
And then, man, I started getting DMs and people calling me and texting me and shouting me out and all this other kind of stuff. They were seeing me speak at these protests. I mean, I've traveled so much during 2020. It was like probably the most I've ever traveled. And for real, man, literally every week or every other week, I was somewhere else. And so, people started seeing me speaking at events. And they hitting me up like, man, our son needs help. We reading your book and we're doing this, but our son they need your help. And then I get adults crying as they're reading this book, either as they're reading The King and Me, because The King and Me actually gives affirmation to young kings, and that's the same thing as The Queen and Me.
Yeah,
it gives direction and affirmations to young kings, like you are beautiful, you are handsome, you are smart, you are intelligent, like some simple stuff that our young kings need to hear but don't hear so often.
Yeah.
And so it gives those kind of insights of hey, this is my name. And so, those are some of the things that are inside of the book, is having people call you by your name and not by what they want to call you as, or a nickname that they just made up for you because they don't know how to say your name or pronounce your name.
Wow.
And so it's things like that. And so we start to get hit up on our inboxes and stuff that, like, yo, we need something for the kids. And so I sat back last year and, we were in the middle of a pandemic. So I know some people are not going to like me for saying this, but in the middle of a pandemic, we took 25 young men, and we created the Young Kings Retreat. One thing that I started to understand, that everything that I do is unorthodox, or it's not common.
Yeah.
So in the time that we were in, it wasn't common for us to do an event outside. We found some partners that let us do it at their space for free. Some community people. I won't say it because it was exclusive.
Absolutely, I get it.
The time that we did it. So, man, they opened up their doors to us, and we took 25 young men from the ages of 13 to 17, and we did everything from laser tag. I got my taco lady out there. She made fresh tacos in front of everybody. We ate tacos together. We had a big old game truck on the street.
Wow.
We did, we call it punch and paint, because kids can't drink, so we did punch and paint.
Yeah.
We had some mentors, man. We had mentors around the community, some what I like to call OGs or whatever you would call them.
Yeah.
But we have some men around the community that just came to mentor our young men. So that's like where the mentorship started at.
Yeah.
I believe every young man, in order for you to have guidance, you have to have a mentor. Everybody doesn't have their father in their life, but everybody can have a man in their life.
Absolutely.
And so that's the beautiful part about it, especially being young men. Or millennials, we have to reach the next generation if we're going to close this gap of poverty, if we're going to close this gap of homelessness, if we're going to close this gap of kids being without fathers. We have to start it with mentorship and with guidance, because with mentorship comes guidance, with guidance come opportunity.
Absolutely.
And so that's how we started the Young Kings Retreat. It's going on again this year, and more information to be out soon. But that's how we started mentoring, and every young man that came left with a mentor, if not two mentors. And so it wasn't just a black situation.
Yeah.
We had Hispanics there, we had whites there, we had blacks there. So we all came together and we shut it down, and we had fun.
Absolutely. It's such an incredible story, because you said so much that I want to touch on, but I know I'm not going to have enough time to touch on everything, because it was all good stuff. But I think one particular aspect of all that you kind of touched on without saying a word, that kind of sums up a lot of foundation for what you do is trauma. It seems like you address through your book, through your work, a lot of trauma, and it's weird to always get back to trauma, because from here, personal development all starts with self, but in self-care, even to perform self-care, I've learned that you have to perform, or basically conduct, trauma-informed self-care as you would perform trauma-informed care on someone else. Because I think a lot of folks, we take general advice and we might use them and wonder why it doesn't work for us. Man, what's wrong with me, man? This worked for him. He lost 20 pounds. He got money, or whatever it is. We utilize it and wonder why it doesn't work for us. And I think because we don't treat ourselves through that trauma-informed lens that's so necessary. And for those that don't understand, that trauma-informed lens, basically, it's solving or addressing the behind-the-scenes problem. You know the
Right.
root and the foundation that doesn't actually show in the symptoms. You know the symptoms. You just have a
Right.
bad kid. You have somebody acting up. You have somebody shut in. You have so many symptoms, and
Right.
they don't tell the story. The symptoms don't always tell
Right.
the story. So you have to do a little effort to dig and get that story, and that's trauma
Right.
informed care. That extra effort, that sensitivity, that insight, and how important is understanding trauma in mentorship to you?
Right. So at first, the first thing about trauma that we have to understand is that everybody's solution to trauma is different,
Mm-hmm.
and so everybody's footsteps or guidance in their healing process to trauma is different.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I also understand about trauma, and this is one of my next books, and I guess this is an exclusive right here, but one of my next books is actually called Triggers. And it's how we deal with our trauma. It's how, if we don't deal with our trauma, our people around us, our family, our friends, our businesses, they become targets to our triggers. And so that's one thing that we have to start understanding about. Number one, about trauma is that, you know, if you don't deal with the trauma, you can hurt people around you that are actually trying to help you, and they're trying to support you and trying to be there for you.
I totally believe that.
But when we are actually dealing with trauma and working with young men and young women that have dealt with or that are dealing with traumatic situations, my first step, especially when I teach trainings on this, I always tell the people that I'm talking to put yourself in the shoes of this young person. Half of us don't even have to put ourselves in their shoes because we've been where they were or where they are. We were where they are. And so that's the first step. And then it's also understanding is that, like, for example, my program that I have right now that I'm overseeing, I tell my staff every single day is that you have 12 months, 6 to 12 months to get everything out that this young man or this young woman been dealing with for the last 17, 16 years.
Yeah.
You only have 6 months of it. And so you only have 6 months to help them, 6 months to help them redirect their mindset, 6 months to help them focus on something else. And that 6 months doesn't equivalent to the 16 years that they've been dealing with this trauma. And that's some of the stuff that we've seen even in last year. We've seen a high rise in murders. We've seen a high rise in suicide. We've seen a high rise in domestic violence situations and kids not being able to go to school or play sports or do all this other kind of stuff that would get them away from the traumatic experiences that they were going through at home. We've seen the uprise in all these kind of things. So with all that being said, my thing is, first off, one way, and this is an easy way without getting too deep in it, but one way that we can help each other with our traumatic experiences is being our authentic self. Here's what I mean by that is that when you ask somebody how they are doing, actually listen to how they're doing, because so often we say, "Hey, how you doing?" "Oh, I'm good, man," but behind that good is a traumatic experience. Behind that good is something that they're currently going through. Behind that good is something that they're trying to cover up, or it could be a silent cry for help. And so be your authentic self, but also not only being your authentic self, but when you interact with people, go to the extra mile, man. See how they really are doing, because some people don't have people that they trust. Some people don't have people that they can talk to. And I always tell people this too in leadership and stuff that I do in leadership is that everybody can't handle the weight of your event. And so everybody can't handle the stuff that you're dealing with. Everybody can't handle your trauma. So we have to have people in our circle who we know we can trust and who we know and understand that can handle the weight of what we're dealing with.
You're right.
And so man, trauma is very real, it's very prevalent, but I also think there's a solution to our trauma experiences.
You know, you touched on something, and it's that going the extra mile, because my next question was going to be, well, how do you reach somebody in that 6 months battling 17 years of that? You know what I'm saying? What do you do? And one thing probably wouldn't have been your answer, but one thing you already answered was going that extra mile. And I can vouch for that, because I remember being a kid in high school, and I can remember my teacher very well, Mr. Brown. His name is Neville Brown. So if you know this man, give him some applause right now. His name is Neville Brown, and he was a teacher at PHS, Pasadena High School, and I appreciate him so much because he did exactly what you said. He would ask me, how my day was and all that, but fine wasn't good enough answer for him. It never was, And then not only that, he would ask certain stuff. Well, how's your dad? How, and then like that kind of shocks you, a youngster in certain environments because. First of all, we think people just don't care. Adults just doing them. They just don't give a damn what we're going through. They're busy. They're whatever. They're in their own world. So when somebody takes the time to ask a question that's open-ended, it's an open-ended question. I mean, he's taking a moment of time to spend with me for whatever my answer may be. And though I couldn't articulate it like that back then, I appreciated every second of it, every moment, every effort that he made to understand me and to be there for me. And that's why I appreciate him and Mr. Bell. I don't know if you know Mike Bell, but like these teachers and it just so happens they were both black male teachers. You know what I'm saying? And that probably played into it a little bit itself because my father wasn't always there. You know what I'm saying? Right. And during high school, he wasn't living at the home with me. So these males, these positive males that wasn't trying to turn youngsters out, because there were so many trying to do that. And to be respectful, a lot of these males that were trying to turn folks out into the dope game, the gangs and all that, that was just the best some of them knew how. So not to knock their effort that they made trying to reach their youngsters, but they just wasn't equipped. You know what I'm saying?
That's how they were taught.
Exactly. So I appreciate all the tools that we give all the people, not just the youngsters, but some of these OGs who are willing to help, but just don't know no better than they were taught. You know what I'm saying? Right. So programs like yours, books like yours, and when you come to speak, I think you touch not just the youngsters, some of the adults. And I think that's one of the great things that millennials have going, that they have that intuition to be and understand both.
Yeah.
You think that's important, like really, to reach these other people, like to be empathetic, and is that giving you an advantage being the age you are and seeing the different, I guess, generations?
Right. I mean, I think it is a benefit. I think one of my other benefits was having the grandmother that I had, and so as everybody already know, I lost my grandmother June 2nd of this year. And, it was a difficult time because she's the reason why I do everything that I do. Besides my parents, she's the reason why I'm in the community. She's the reason why
I can imagine.
I know the people that I know. She's my why. She was my rod. And so, a lot of the reason why I can go in between generational gaps is because of the influence of, how I saw her operate. And here's how I saw her operate, and this is how I always try to do, no matter what our differences are. I can have a difference with somebody and they'll never know. Yeah. Because I know how to operate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so she taught me that everything I do, at the end of it, has to be love. And so if you're going to correct somebody, correct them in love. If you're going to be there for somebody, be there for them in love. If you're going to help somebody, help them in love. And so everything that I do, everything that I'm a part of is because I love it, and I love the people that I'm connecting with, and I love the people that I'm able to help. And so one thing, and going back to, working with young people or working in the community, one thing I also learned about, working with people with traumatic experiences is you have to appreciate the small victories. Mm-hmm. You have to appreciate and you have to celebrate the small victories, because some people don't get clap for it. Some people don't get the pat on their back. Yeah. Some people don't get the praises and stuff. So we have to learn to start celebrating each other's victories, and that's another sign of love. But at the end of the day, everything that we do has to be connected to love. And so, the funny thing is that there's so many ways to show love. There's so many ways to be there for people. But I think, not only just being able to go through generational gaps, but then also lifestyle gaps and genres gaps and little focus of gaps. All of it is the extension of love. I'm able to go anywhere and everywhere because not only because I'm a pastor, not only because people see me in a different light, but because when I go there with love. I go there to help. I go there to support. And so I think what people have to check, change our lifestyle first. We have to check ourselves. And I think anytime you go to any situation or you go there and you trying to, exert yourself into any situation, first you have to check yourself and say, okay, am I doing this out of love? Am I helping out of love, or am I helping because I need something?
Yeah.
Or am I helping because somebody told me that I need to be helping? And so we really have to check our motives, especially when we're working and dealing and helping people. We got to check that every single thing we do has to be out of love.
Well, that's a very powerful message. And just to let everybody know, and as a bit of a tribute, man, I think your grandmother had that effect on way more people than just you. And it's amazing how some people just have that impact, and to see so many people affected and so many people celebrating the life of your grandmother. See, I don't know if you guys out there know, but Pasadena is a very influential city. It's a very it's a city that has a big name, but it's really a very small community. You see it every year on TV, and you only see one street, so you really have no idea what the rest of the city looks like, but it's small. And things that happen here, everybody feels. So all the history of it, we all take pride in, we all are connected to, and your grandmother is a thread of in that history, in the fabric of history in this city, in this community, and in our, just generally in our world and in our society, because people like that have laid the foundation for people like you to do even more work, so nothing perished with her life being not here anymore. You know what I'm saying? Her efforts live on through each and everybody. And like I said, it's so many people. And it's crazy how you know her name. Mother Evans, you know her name. It rings out. But you don't really get to see the impact until you leave here, until someone leaves here. And then all the people come out to One Works, and you just didn't know who was related to her, who was touched by her, who was, who got their stories. And it's just so incredible about being from a community that has that much unity when it exercises it. I think that you're right. It does take, a collective effort to get anything done. And I appreciate how you bring people together. You've never been divisive, and you've never taken sides. Like you said, you know how to work with everybody. And you don't just do it in the church community, because, that's a very nice community sometimes. You do it in politics, bro.
Right.
And it's a very vicious environment out there. And you float through it with a smile on your face without an enemy in the world. And I appreciate that, because some of us, we pick sides and we pick battles early. So we got to ride those out. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of those folks. And we all have our different roles to play. So I don't mind being one of those folks. But I always look up to folks who play the game of society the way you do it, with so much love. You know what I'm saying? Because that shows in everything you do. It's a little too much for me, I guess, in my style, because I guess I didn't have that love growing up to have so much in all I do. But I appreciate it. And like I said, some of that does wear off. You know what I'm saying? I do look at you and I do admire that. And that's why you're on the show, because I see the boss in other folks. You know what I'm saying? And it might not be the traditional boss, but like I said, in you, I see you have figured out your own definition of success. You know what I'm saying? You carved out your lane and you walk it strong and successfully with your head held high. And that's why I appreciate you. And that's why I try to show these youngsters that there's a million different ways to get to be successful. It's not somebody else's definition. It's what do you see your success? What gives you that feeling of joy? What gives you that passion, that pleasure? You know what I'm saying? How do you want to be seen and respected? How do you want to feel? How do you want to look? That's what success is, not what you have. You know what I'm saying? It's more so how you feel, how do you live every day. That's why I always say success is a lifestyle. It's in the choices we make at every moment. You know what I'm saying? That's success. So that's why I appreciate you so much, man. That's why you're on the show. And I know we don't talk at every event and we don't connect at everything, but I always stay watching. And I tell people, man, someone's always watching. conduct yourself like
Always.
so. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because somebody's always peeping game. Somebody's always, trying to figure you out. And sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. But the whole thing is somebody is always paying attention. You're always teaching. You're always showing. And the way you move teaches and shows nothing but love, respect, and perseverance. Because you pulled through some of these, like you said, you pulled through this COVID stuff. And, of course, we lost Anthony McClain. And we deal with so many social justice issues just in our community alone, let alone, society as a whole. But to see you pull through it and always come out, on the positive end of it, always bringing people together, always making people love you even more in a time where there's so much hate and division going on. Like I said, it's admirable, brother.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the love. And I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's how we all, like you said, we all have our lane to play.
Yeah.
And, so many people get in other people's lane because they don't know their lane.
Yeah.
Or they're still trying to figure out their lane,
Mm-hmm.
And so, with guidance and with mentorship, mentorship is a big thing, but with mentorship, that's how I found my lane. That's how I came to understand my lane.
I love it, man.
And so that's the guidance that I got. So, man, I appreciate the love and I appreciate the support. And we're going to keep doing what we got to do.
Absolutely. Before we get out of here, man, a couple things, man. What can somebody do right now? Because as I'm pretty sure you can agree, there is no age limit in having a mentor. I'm pretty sure you got one now. You know what I'm saying? But for folks who've never had one, who have never tried to reach out, what would you tell them? How can someone reach out and have a mentor and get one? Because we should all have one.
Right, we definitely should. Well, for me, I'm gonna be honest with you. For me, I have multiple mentors. I have a mentor for my business. I have a mentor for my book. I have a mentor for my life, my lifestyle. I have a mentor that encompasses everything in all of those areas, right?
Yeah.
So I have multiple mentors that I look to.
That's awesome.
But I also say when having a mentor, you have to have somebody that is where you look to be.
Absolutely.
So
I appreciate that. Yeah,
where they are currently, that is the place. You can't have a mentor that's in the same position you are because they can't tell you nothing. They can't tell you about their mistakes. They can't tell you about their shortcomings. They can't tell you about how to get there because we're on the same level. So how can you tell me something?
Exactly.
And we riding side by side. But you have to have somebody that you can, that is attainable, that is obtainable, that you can reach, that you can get a hold to. But you also have to have somebody that is already at where you're trying to go. And so that's what I appreciate about all my mentors is that all of them are at different places in their life, but they're at places where I want to be.
You want to be.
And so, and everybody is not great to be a mentor. Let me say that too. So make sure that when you're looking for a mentor, you find somebody who is accessible to you, who's somebody that you can reach, somebody that you can touch, somebody that has a foundation, and you go for it. But then also when also dealing with a mentor, you have to be honest.
Yeah.
Like you have to tell the truth and how you feel and what's going on in your life. Be honest with you. Be honest with them. And if they can't be honest with you, then that's not a mentor for you.
Then move on.
So, move on.
Yeah, I like that because, you're so right. And one thing that you said about having a mentor is like, you didn't say it, but you kind of hinted at it, is that you might have to go outside your comfort zone. Because the mentor ain't going to be the homie or your boy. You know what I'm saying? It's usually not somebody within already your circle. So you might have to do a little research. You might have to ask some questions. You might have to go to these circles that you guys deal with, like maybe church, school. And like you said, you might have to get out your comfort zone to find somebody who's where you want to be, especially if you come from a household or an environment where we don't have a lot of those in our homes. Because I grew up with the people in my home wasn't where I wanted to be. And that's the only thing they pretty much taught me is what not to do. So I had to find somebody to teach me how to do the things I needed to do. And man, I appreciate everything you said today, brother. Before we get out of here, tell somebody how they can reach you, how they can connect with you, how they can get your book.
Absolutely. So on social media, Facebook, my name is Brandon Dante Lamar. Dante is spelled Donte. So Brandon Dante Lamar, you can spell it out on Facebook and you'll find me. Instagram, I am BD Lamar, so my initials BD, Brandon D Lamar, BD Lamar. That's Instagram. And then my website is www.bdlamar.org. You can definitely get the book on my website. You can get all my clothing line and jewelry line. Everything is on my website. So you can get all that stuff on my website. But then also, if you're in the Pasadena area, just hit me up, man. DM me, and I'll get the information and the books to you myself. And so,
Wow.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate the love, Jason.
No, man, I appreciate you. And for anybody else who might want a copy, we're giving away a copy of each of his books. That's The King and Me and The Queen and Me autograph copy. I hope I can get this brother to autograph these books, but we're going to give away an autograph copy for somebody who leaves the best review about this episode on Apple Podcast. And then please subscribe, please share, and like I said, the best review will definitely get a copy of Brandon's book. I'll ship it to you myself, and if you're in the Pasadena area, I'll deliver it myself, man. You gotta love folks, man, and it's creating connections, man, and I'm glad I've created a connection with you far before this show. And like I said, man, I applaud you and all you do, and I will continue to root for you and support you in any way I can, my brother.
Thank you so much, man.
No, thank you. All right, man, that's our episode today, man. Like I said, you want to check out Brandon, it's bdlamar.org, bdlamar.org. You can find his book, his products, and just like he said, man, well, he didn't say it, but I'm going to say it, man, if you support anything he does, you're actually supporting everything this brother does. So go out there and buy something just to support the work and effort that he brings to this community and to society as a whole. Anyway, I love y'all, man. That's our time. That's our show, man. Life of a Boss. And remember, success is a lifestyle.
Did anything stand out to you in today's show? If so, let us know. Your questions, comments, and concerns are important to Jason, as he is determined to always deliver to you only the most impactful information and content. Until next time, please subscribe, like, comment, share, and leave a review whenever possible. You may visit lifeofaboss.net for more episodes and great resources to help you become the absolute boss that you were meant to be. You can also follow Jason on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Hardin. Thank you. And to never forget that success is a lifestyle.